This was prior to his meeting and marrying you, of course. He turned out to be an exceptional operative, one of our best, in fact."
"So he was a spy all along?" I asked.
Lord Carrick gave a curt nod. He was fluent in several languages, which of course made him a valuable asset.
I was astonished at that news. I had no idea. "It looks as though I didn't know my husband at all," I said lamely. I clasped my hands until my knuckles turned white as a wave of cold spread through my body, and I began to shiver. I felt quite sick and fought to suppress the feeling of nausea as Lord Carrick continued.
"You saw what you expected to see. John was a trained undercover operative, and there was no reason for you to suspect he was anything other than what he claimed. But if it's any consolation, I think you knew the real him better than anyone."
"I'm sorry, but I don't find it in the least bit consoling. The man I thought was my husband was in fact a total stranger. I can't think why he married me in the first place."
"He married you because he fell in love with you. It's as simple as that. We tried to talk him out of it, of course. The type of work he was doing was dangerous, and having a family makes it all the more difficult. We encourage our men to remain single, in fact. But John was insistent, and rather than lose him, we relented."
"So what happened to him?"
"Please understand I am bound by the Official Secrets Act, so am not at liberty to divulge everything. However, I will tell you what I can. John was one of the best undercover men we had, as I said, and he was used extensively to infiltrate organisations abroad and send back information we needed."
"What sort of information?"
"I'm afraid I can't tell you that. But suffice to say he was very successful. During his last mission—"
"Where exactly was his last mission?"
"Germany. And just so you understand, it was indeed to be his last assignment. He'd formally put in for retirement from active overseas duties, as he wanted to spend more time at home. With you. Unfortunately, things didn't go according to plan, and we lost communication with him. He missed several rendezvous, then disappeared from the radar completely. It's thought his cover had been blown."
"You mean he was taken prisoner?"
"We're not sure. I'm afraid the intelligence is somewhat lacking, but it's assumed so, yes."
I was simply stunned, and was finding it difficult to formulate simple questions, as though my head was stuffed with cotton. I felt the prick of tears, as I realised John had intended to retire and come home so we could begin a normal life together. I'd had no idea. Yet his plans were derailed at the last moment, by some dastardly quirk of fate. I swallowed, past the lump in my throat and the rising bile. It was all so unfair. "So you assumed whoever took him had him killed? You told me at the time he was shot accidentally on a farm in India, and that he didn't suffer at all. I take it this was not actually the case, considering what I know now."
"Well, the body—"
"What about the body? 2 years ago you identified it as my husband. You came to my home and told me he was dead and gave me his wedding ring. If my husband is dead, Lord Carrick, then just how is it he telephoned me last evening?" Lord Carrick rose and approached the fire. Leaning on the mantel, he stared into the flames and began to talk softly, almost to himself.
"The news came in that a body had been found in the early hours. One of our chaps happened to be in the area at the time and went to investigate. What he found was the body of a man, charred beyond recognition, in the lower level of a factory which was still partially burning. We know now it was arson, used to cover up a murder. The victim had been shot. Naturally, our man quickly searched the body for any means of identification, but the only thing he found was the wedding ring. He removed it, then left the scene. There was nothing more he could do.